Beloved, we are not dealing here with sentimentality. We are not dealing with the shallow definitions of love and hate that fill our modern world. We are dealing with the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We are dealing with the God who declares the end from the beginning. And we are dealing with two men, Jacob and Esau, whose lives manifest the terrifying mercy of God's love and the terrible silence of God's rejection. When Scripture says, "Jacob I loved, but Esau I hated," it is not speaking of emotional mood swings in the mind of God. It is speaking of covenantal love and judicial rejection. It is speaking of a divine choice. It is not about who was better. Jacob was a deceiver, a heel grabber, a manipulator. But God chose him not because of works, not because of goodness, but because of God's purpose, according to election. And before you say, "I don't believe in a God who would damn people to hell," understand this. It is not because God foreknows an event that it happens. It is because an event is going to happen that it is foreknown. God is outside of time and space. They are His servants. He suffers no change from them. For Him, the past and future are all present. If I am a king, and I have 10 rebels brought before me, and I choose to give mercy to 5 of them but reject giving mercy to the other 5, I have done nothing wrong. I have given 5 what they do not deserve, and I have given the other 5 what they do deserve. But what does that love look like? Jacob's life was a life of divine interference. God would not let him go. He lied to his father and was exiled. He was tricked by Laban, just as he had tricked others. He spent 20 years in hard labor. He was driven by fear of Esau, crushed by the weight of family conflict, and finally left alone at night by the Jabbok River. And there, God came for him not to comfort him, but to break him. The God of love came down and wrestled him. He wounded him. He touched his hip and dislocated it. And Jacob walked with a limp for the rest of his life. But that limp was love. That wound was mercy. That wrestling was grace. Because God chastens those He loves. Whom the Lord loves, He disciplines. That is the love of God, not that He leaves you alone in sin, but that He fights you, confronts you, arrests you, and does not let you go until He has changed your name. Jacob was broken, but he was blessed. He was wounded, but he was renamed. He went from Jacob to Israel, from deceiver to prince. But Esau is terrifying, not because of what happened to him, but because of what didn't. Esau was strong. Esau was favored by his father. Esau was a hunter, a provider, a man of the field. And Esau was profane. He despised his birthright. He sold it for stew. He married foreign wives that grieved his parents. But God did not wrestle him. God did not break him. God did not discipline him. Instead, Esau prospered. He had land, wives, and children. His descendants became kings before Israel had a king. He became great in the eyes of the world. But that is the terrifying judgment. God left him alone. God gave Esau over to what he wanted. He never wrestled with him. He never stopped him. He never interfered. That is what it means to be hated by God. It is not fire from heaven, it is silence. It is distance. It is being let alone. Ephraim is joined to idols, leave him alone. That is judgment. Romans says God gave them over. That is wrath. To be loved by God is to be disturbed by God. It is to be afflicted, corrected, convicted, chastened, disciplined, broken, wounded, transformed. If God is always interfering with your plans, rejoice. That's love. If God keeps confronting you in your sin, that's mercy. But if you can walk in sin and feel no grief, if you can despise your birthright and feel no conviction, if you can trade eternity for a bowl of stew and go on in peace, that is a terrifying place to be. God's love grabs you and won't let go. God's wrath lets you go. So examine your heart. Has God been wrestling you? Has He been humbling you? Thank Him. That is mercy. But if you feel no struggle, no fight, no inner war cry out for mercy before it is too late. Better to walk with a limp and live than to run free and die.